What's going on? This is the Shonee the Money Pick'em Show, episode 1. I'm going to do this every week of the football season. Towards the end of the week, it is going to be a college football pick'em show against the spread, calling it the Shonee the Money Pick'em Show. So it's going to be on my normal channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the SJ channel. Make sure you follow me on the show socials. This is episode 1 of the Shonee the Money Pick'em Show against the spread. I will give you a pick of each marquee matchup of the week against the spread, and then I'll give you my favorites and my lock of the week each and every week. Starting at the top this week, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games that I'm going to do on the show this week, and then I'll tell you my favorites of the week, the ones that I'm actually going to take, the ones I'm actually putting money on, and then my lock of the week. All right, let's start at the very top, the marquee matchup, college game day, big noon kickoff, the whole 9, Texas versus Michigan, the two of the most storied programs in the history of college football going to Ann Arbor, facing off in Ann Arbor for the first time in the history of the football programs. That's really stupid. But for the first time in the history of the programs, they are playing in Ann Arbor. Only the second matchup ever, the first being that Rose Bowl game with Vince Young winning it at the end. Well, actually, Dusty Magnum kicked the field goal, but Vince Young was the story of that game. This is the second matchup. Texas is opened up as a 4-point favorite. They are now minus 7.5. I love Texas at minus 7.5. I explained it on the SJ show just now. You can watch that in full detail. I also explained it on 54 Yards podcast. Subscribe to Opinionated Sports on the 54 Yards podcast, where I did a breakdown of Texas, Michigan, what I think is going to happen. I think Texas is going to roll into Ann Arbor, dominate start to finish in this game. I think any strength that Michigan has on this team, offense or defensively, Texas can match up very well against and will match up very well against. And then I don't think Michigan is going to have an answer for the Texas speed on either side of the ball. If and when Michigan struggles on offense against this Texas defense, they're going to have a lot of 3-and-outs. They're not going to stay on the field. They're not going to control time of possession the way that they want to. Their defense, as good as it is, will eventually wear down to the speed and physicality of this Texas offense and all the overall scheme and what Sark is going to put them through. All right, I think he's going to move the pocket a lot, make those big defensive linemen run around sideline to sideline. I think he's going to stretch the field in those long crossing routes, deep post routes, make the DBs run across the field all day long as well. And when they're not able to get off the field and have to do that against some of the fastest players in America in that Texas receiver room and even the running backs chasing those guys around, it's eventually going to, that dam is eventually going to break. And when it breaks, it's going to break hard and fast, and the Longhorns will pile up points, and they'll pile up points fast. I think the Longhorns cover the number at 7.5, and whatever it moves to, I would keep hammering that number. I think that they could cover it minus 10. Moving forward, we got Arkansas at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is minus 7.5. I like Arkansas at plus 7.5, all right? I think that this could be a good game. I might even sprinkle the Arkansas money line. Oklahoma State in the preseason, they always have a fart and fall down game. I'm not quite sure how legit Arkansas will be. They played a high school team to start off the year, and they dominated them, as they should. But they will have the physicality of a Sam Pittman team. They'll have SEC size and speed, which I think will give Ollie Gordon frustrating problems. When he gets frustrated, he has the tendency to quit. I can see that happening in this game. And he also just does not perform at that high level against physical defenses. He just hasn't. He hasn't done it. What these eyes have seen, I haven't seen him do it yet. Therefore, I think that this is a game that is tailored for Oklahoma State to struggle in. I don't like Alan Bowman, so I think Arkansas, just off vibes, can come in. Sam Pittman's a coach that comes into the season on the hot seat. Maybe he's the type of guy that saves his ass when you're not expecting it. Even if he doesn't do that, I think Arkansas can cover this number. I like him a lot at plus 7.5, and I might even sprinkle the money line. So that's a little hint that I'll probably actually take Arkansas plus 7.5 versus number 17, Oklahoma State. The next game, Kansas State at Tulane. Kansas State is 10-point favorites right now. The number is set at 48.5. I like the under in this game. That's the number that I'm going to pick. And Tulane at plus 10. I like Kansas State. I got them in my not my national championship, in the Big 12 championship game. I got them in the playoffs, but I think with the offense that Kansas State wants to run under Kleiman and their quarterback, their style of play, they're going to run the ball a lot. They love to eat up time of possession, eat up clock. They're going to do that against a very solid Tulane football team, and they may even struggle defensively. I'm not saying that Kansas State will have a bad defense. Don't expect that at all. But Tulane's got weapons like Mario Williams and others. They might have some success offensively themselves. 10 is a lot of points against a Tulane team that I think is pretty fucking solid. Therefore, I think Tulane covers the number, but I love more than the number Tulane covering the number under 48.5 in this game. Kansas State, they like to play good defense and control the clock. So 10 points is too many points for them, in my opinion. Moving on, Georgia Tech, Syracuse. Georgia Tech is 3-point favorites going to the Carrier Dome. The number scares me. The number scares me, and I understand the dangers of playing Dino Babers at the Carrier Dome. I get all of that, but I like this Georgia Tech team a lot, and not just because they beat Florida State, and that would scare me too. Florida State going on and losing to Boston College right after losing to Georgia Tech in a close one in Ireland, and Boston College handled them even easier than Georgia Tech did, but Georgia Tech was already playing really consistent football at the end of last year. They almost beat Georgia, and I like Haynes King a lot. If he can continue to take care of the football and that offensive line continues to get the push that they got against Florida State, I think that they go to Syracuse and they cover the number at -3. Sorry. So, yeah, I like Georgia Tech to cover the number. I don't love it because it's set at a low number. And then Syracuse, they got Kyle McCord at Ohio State. But I like Haynes King a whole lot more than I like Kyle McCord. So I got Georgia Tech going to the Carrier Dome and continuing their momentum, covering the number at -3. Baylor at Utah. Big 12 matchup there. Utah's first year in the Big 12. Utah is at -14. Now, I like Utah. I like them to compete for the conference. Maybe win the conference. I don't got them in the championship game, but they easily could be. The Big 12 is a toss-up conference. 14 is a lot of points. Cam Rising is at the top of the list of my list of quarterbacks that's time to get a real job list. Time to get a real job quarterback list. Cam Rising is at the top of that. He's been playing about 15 years. He came into college football and signed at Texas when Quinn Ewers was in the 8th grade. He's still playing quarterback at Utah. Baylor with DeQuan Finn. I'm not high on Baylor, but 14 is a lot of points. I got Baylor to cover the +14, but Utah to win by 2 touchdowns or by 2 possessions by more than 10 points, but not 14. I got Baylor to backdoor cover the 14 in that game. Moving on, let's go to Iowa State. Iowa State at Iowa. Number 21 Iowa. This is the classic boring Iowa State game. Iowa set at -3. That's what it seems to be every year for the home team in this game. I'm going to take the Iowa State money line in this game. I know Iowa's returning a lot of players. I know Iowa loves their defense like they always do. I think Iowa State will have a good defense this year. I think the timing sets up right for, what's the Iowa State, the prick head coach, whatever his name is, the grumpy guy, the hard ass. I think the time is right for hard ass at Iowa State to have a good year this year. And I think it's a low-scoring game. The number's set at 35 at the point total. I like the under 35 better than I like anybody to cover in this game. But Iowa State money line in the under. Take the under. Punts in Iowa versus Iowa State. The kids, they'll be waving. Everybody will be happy. Punts. Defense, 3 and outs. Punts all game long, commercials all game long. This is Iowa State. This is what you pay to go see when you go there. The under at 35.5 at 35. I would take the under at 30. I would take the under maybe if it was at 28. Under in that game every single year. Unders. Ha 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 ha. Punts. All right, let's move on. Sorry, I got a message in the Discord that I was looking at there from Cam. All right, let's move on. Tennessee at NC State. Tennessee at -8. I love Tennessee at -8. All right, NC State is a team that every single year starts off as like the number 24, 25 team in the country, and then they just do nothing to write home about when it's all said and done. They don't ever beat anybody that they're not supposed to beat, and they usually beat the teams that they are supposed to beat. That's why they think they are. But I'm so high on this Tennessee program under Josh Heupel. I've said it many times that that's the coach that Oklahoma should have targeted. They didn't. And Tennessee has them. And Tennessee's rolling. They got Nico Imamalavia. I can't say his name yet, but the electric redshirt freshman, former 5-star, that looked really, really good out the gates. And I think he's going to continue to do so in that veer and shoot offense. I think Tennessee covers the number, and they cover the number fairly easy in this game. So I like Tennessee -8, and I like them a lot. I think that Tennessee's going to have a lot of momentum going into that matchup in Norman here in a few weeks, and I think they're going to win that game here in a few weeks as long as they stay healthy going into it. I like this Tennessee team. I like the momentum they got. I like the quarterback in that veer and shoot system. I think they cover -8, and I think this is a neutral site game. It's in North Carolina, but I think it's only a few hours away from Knoxville. And Tennessee will have the fan advantage, 60-40 at least, if not more. They travel well. They got a lot of money. They love that team. Tennessee to cover -8. That's one of my favorites of the week. Moving on, Houston at Oklahoma. At Oklahoma -30. I'm going to take Houston to cover +30 because 30 is too many points. Houston lost to UNLV. Everybody's going to talk about, oh my God, Houston's awful, and they damn well might be. Willie Fritz year one. I'm not high on Houston. But that quarterback, what's his name? Donovan Edwards? No, Donovan Edwards is the running back at Michigan. Donovan something. Let me pull him up. Texas has played him twice. He played at Texas Tech, and then he transferred to Houston. Donovan Smith. He's a quarterback. He went 15-30 for 135 and 2 interceptions, right, against UNLV. And that's the type of thing he'll do. He'll have a game like that where he's the worst quarterback in the world, can't complete a pass, throwing interceptions, giving it away. And then he'll show up and he'll go like 35 of 42 for 400 yards on your ass. Now, am I predicting he does this to this Oklahoma defense? No, not at all. And I think that the Oklahoma defense is tailored to stop him, frustrate that offense, and have a lot of success, maybe even create turnovers. But 30 points is too much for that Oklahoma offense, in my opinion, and this Oklahoma team in general, in my opinion. That UNLV team is a team that can compete for their conference as well. They're actually pretty solid. They got a lot of returning players there, and they got an offense that could put up points. They really didn't put up points against Houston. They won that game 24-7. But they're a lot better than you would think just by looking at UNLV. So I think 30 points is too much. I'm going to go +30 for Houston in that game, and I'm also going to go Jackson Arnold over half an interception. He's going to throw an interception against Houston. Moving on. Boise State, another game that's too high. Boise State at Oregon, all right? Oregon set is a 19.5-point favorite. They're set at a 19.5-point favorite because they struggled and did not cover against a bad Idaho team. And yet, everybody's looking at that game and saying, oh, they really just didn't execute in the red zone. They absolutely should have covered. So now you're putting the number high on Boise State. This is kind of giving me the same vibes as Florida State last week, where Florida State didn't cover as double-digit favorites against Georgia Tech. They lost the game. Therefore, they go into a Boston College game. You double down, make them double-digit favorites. They lost another game. Now, I don't think that Oregon's going to lose to Boise State. They're way too good to lose to this Boise State team. But the problems that you saw them not getting into the end zone, I think that those problems continue. I think Dylan Gabriel's what I think he is. I think he's just a guy. There's a reason he's not in the NFL. And he's also on the list of quarterbacks where it's time to get a real job. My quarterback's time to get a real job list. Him, Cam Rising, many other guys are on that list. He's at the top of it with Cam Rising. I think that this is going to be an offense that puts up statistical numbers. They put up numbers that look good on paper, but don't get in the end zone consistently enough, and they'll struggle against the good defenses around America. Boise State typically has a good defense. It's not like I've looked into them that hard, but I think Boise State covers the number at +19.5. They should be a solid team. They should be a fringe playoff team with that group of 5 playoff team. Boise State should be a team that competes for that year in, year out. So I think Boise State to cover +19.5. Moving on, Cal at Auburn. Auburn -13. I'm going strictly on vibes and gut feeling here for Auburn to cover the number. Year 2 under Hugh Freeze. I think he'll be very good. Hold on one second. Let me respond to the message. Some business stuff here. All right, there we go. That was just some scheduling stuff for some other videos that I've already recorded. Sorry about that. Where was I at? Okay, Hugh Freeze. Year 2 at Auburn. All he's doing is talking the team down. He's talking about how they're still 2 years away. He's building a foundation through high school players and not through the portal, which I think is the right thing to do. Florida State could take some advice from Hugh Freeze right now. And yet, he's got a lot of really young talent on that team, and it is young talent. But it's the type of talent that Cal Berkeley does not have, all right? And it's the type of talent that's going to upset somebody on that schedule this year. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's going to upset somebody or maybe multiple teams on that schedule this year. And I think him talking them down is a little coach speak to underpromise and overdeliver. So for that reason and that reason alone, I'm taking Auburn to cover -13. And then last but not least, the night game, Colorado at Nebraska. Nebraska set at 7.5-point favorites. I predicted Nebraska to make the Big Ten championship game. I'm going to take Nebraska to cover this game. Now, I'm not as down on Colorado as I was, and that's not because they squeaked out against North Dakota State. It's because I watched the rest of the Big 12 last week, and I'm like, okay, Colorado's got enough weapons and obviously a good enough quarterback and players for him to throw the ball to for them to compete in the Big 12 with a bunch of bad defenses, right? There's going to be a lot of games that Colorado competes in. They're going to do better than I thought they would. But not in this game. I think Nebraska covers the number at -7.5, and it's because the hard-nosed team and culture that Matt Rule has already established going into his second year. I think that Shedeur Sanders makes a lot of plays in this game. I think he makes plays under duress, and he shows out to the level that he's going to be able to in this game. Travis Hunter will make plays. Maybe even on the defensive side of the ball will make a play where people are being a little harsh on him, in my opinion, right now. Maybe you can see him snag an interception or something like that. But ultimately, I think Colorado is going to get beat up on the line of scrimmage in this game and not be able to answer it as the game goes along. Whereas Nebraska, they'll get more sacks. They'll maybe create another turnover, a fumble, or things like that because of the pressure that they're going to be able to consistently generate. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think that Nebraska is going to beat Colorado up. I think they'll be able to run it at will on Colorado. They'll have over 250 rushing yards in this game. They'll be able to score on almost every drive because of that. You'll be able to work in RPOs, get Dylan Raiola comfortable, and only grow on his first performance in the first game, get him comfortable as a freshman 5-star quarterback who I'm very high on. As you go into Big Ten play and start facing more challenges, I think this is a game where you're able to make it easy for him, get easy throws, easy plays, and his numbers look real shiny and pretty at the end of it. I think Nebraska covers the number at -7.5, and let me find the point total on that because I like the over, whatever it is, and I'm sure it'll be high because Colorado will score. The point total is at 59. I love the over at 59. I think it'll go above 60, so get it at 59 if you can get it. Colorado at Nebraska in Lincoln, and this is also a little bit of a revenge game for Nebraska. Remember last year, there's a lot of drama there. It was close. Nebraska really blew the game. Nebraska's really hyped this year. I want them to go undefeated in the preseason. I got them in my Big Ten championship game. I think they're too big and physical up front for Colorado to handle it this year. Colorado's still a year away there. They just don't got the guys up front. All right, so I think that Nebraska's going to be able to handle them, and yet it's not all doom and gloom for Colorado. They're going to compete, and they're going to beat some teams they're not supposed to in the Big 12 this year, and they're going to have some really high draft picks. All right, so if you're a Colorado fan, it's not as bad as I was predicting it because I don't think the Big 12 is going to be as good, but there will be some ugly games for sure. That's neither here nor there. I digress. Let me give you my favorites of the week, the ones I'm actually betting, and then close this puppy out for episode 1 of the Shonee the Money Pick'em show. So my bets that I'm for sure taking, Texas at -7.5, Texas at any number that it grows to, and I'm actually taking the over in that game because I predicted Texas to score 40 or more points. And again, that wasn't the Michigan defense. I just think we're going to be on the field too much, and they will break down. I'm going to take Arkansas at +7.5. I'm going to take Houston at +30. I'm going to take Boise State at +19.5. I'm going to take Nebraska at -7.5. And my lock of the week is Texas at -7.5 and one more. Let me give you one more. And Tennessee -8. I'm taking Tennessee -8. My two locks of the week is Texas -7.5, Tennessee -8. Those are two teams on the up and up. I think Texas is going to compete for a national championship. I think Tennessee is going to make noise in the SEC and push for a playoff spot this year. And I think the quarterback play is too good at both respective schools for the opposing teams to deal with and match up with when it comes down to it at the end of the day. and both teams will pull away as those games goes on. This was episode 1 of the Shonee Jackson Pick'em Show. I mean, not the Shonee Jackson Pick'em Show. I'm remiss in saying that. The Shonee the Money Pick'em Show. Subscribe to the Shonee Jackson Show and follow the Shonee the Money Pick'em Show. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on all the socials. I love y'all more than you know. Not as much as you think. This was the Shonee the Money Pick'em Show. Goodbye and God bless.